welcome to the deep dive. Ever have those moments where life just, knocks you sideways, throws a curveball you didn't see coming, and you're just left thinking, okay, now what?
Or maybe you're just looking for a clearer path, right?
Yeah.
A way to get to those really profound insights without drowning in information. Something simple but powerful.
Exactly. That's what we're exploring today, those kinds of insights.
Yeah, those principles that seem almost deceptively simple, but act like a real guiding light. Not just for getting through things, but actually thriving. And our mission here, well, it's really for you, our listener. We want to dig deep into a really inspiring source, pull out the absolute key nuggets of wisdom, and help you not just understand them, but really see how you can apply them, how they can enlighten and motivate your own life.
Totally. And today, we are taking that deep dive into a book that really struck a chord with so many people. Make Your Bed. Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World by Admiral William H. McRaven.
Ah, yeah. Great book.
And what's so interesting is where it came from, right? It's origin story. These 10 lessons, they first hit big in 2014 when Admiral McRaven gave this incredible commencement speech at UT Austin, his alma mater.
And what's amazing, and he even says he was surprised himself, was how much these college students connected with lessons that were, fundamentally born out of intense military training, Navy SEAL training, no less.
Right.
It just showed their universal appeal, didn't it? That they weren't just for the military. They spoke to something fundamentally human.
Precisely. Because the core promise here, it isn't about combat tactics or anything like that. It's about these simple but deeply powerful principles learned during Navy SEAL training, that intense crucible environment.
Right.
And Admiral McRaven shows so clearly how those exact same lessons are just as vital for navigating the complexities of everyday life, the challenges we all face, no matter who you are or what you do.
And that's exactly our goal for you in this deep dive. We want to go beyond just summarizing. We want to make these lessons super easy to grasp, really engaging, sure. But more than that, we want to uncover the deeper meaning, what's really going on underneath. And then, crucially, show you concrete ways to implement them, to actually use them to, light up your own path and maybe even, as the title suggests, influence the world around you a bit.
Yeah, let's unpack this.
Okay.
So we're kicking things off with what seems maybe like the simplest lesson. Chapter 1, start your day with a task completed.
Sounds almost too basic, doesn't it?
Right. But the core idea is about the power of getting a small win, first thing. Something tangible, how that builds momentum, gives you a sense of control, maybe a little pride that carries through the day.
But in SEAL training, making your bed was, it was anything but mundane. It was serious.
Definitely. The anecdote he shares, it just paints such a vivid picture. These Spartan barracks in Coronado, California, basic SEAL training.
Right by the Pacific. He mentions hearing the surf constantly, no air conditioning, just the ocean breeze, a raw environment.
And the routine. First thing after reveille, make your Navy rack. Your bed before anything else.
And that was the start of a day filled with, brutal inspections, long swims, punishing runs, obstacle courses, and just constant harassment from the instructors.
So that first act set the tone. The bed inspection itself.
Wow. It was rigorous, designed to test discipline, attention to detail.
Yeah, he describes the chief petty officer, a senior NCO, lots of experience meticulously checking everything, the starch in your hat, the creases in your uniform.
The shine on your belt buckle, mirror-like. Boots polished so bright you could see your reflection. It was intense.
And the bed standard itself. Not just pulling up the covers, it was specific. Bottom sheet tight, top sheet perfect, gray wool blanket, tucked incredibly tight.
A second blanket folded just so into a rectangle at the foot. And a single pillow, centered exactly, 90-degree angle. Wow.
And the ultimate test. The instructor flips a quarter onto the bed.
Right.
If it was made right, the quarter would bounce several inches high. Yeah. And the instructor would just catch it.
And the only approval was just a silent nod. Because it was expected. That was the baseline. Perfection was the standard.
And failure. The sugar cookie. Run into the freezing ocean, roll in the sand until you're covered head to toe.
Miserable. Imagine having sand everywhere all day while doing everything else they had to do.
Awful. But this simple act, making the bed, it had this deeper meaning, right?
Absolutely. It was about discipline, attention to detail, even on the smallest things. And for McRaven, it became this daily reminder that something, no matter how small, was done right, completed.
So even if the rest of the day was a disaster.
Exactly. You come back to that perfectly made bed, a small source of pride, a small win. Psychologically, that's huge. It triggers a positive feedback loop.
And it became this constant for him, didn't it? He He mentions it on a submarine, the USS Grayback, where the doctor insisted on it for discipline.
Right, linking it to medical care quality.
Then later, recovering from that horrific parachute accident after 9/11, making his hospital bed was like a symbol, a way to conquer the injury, take back some control.
Even sleeping on army cots in Iraq, he kept doing it. It was an internal discipline, separate from the environment.
And that contrast with Saddam Hussein, that's fascinating.
Isn't it? Captured dictator, has sheets, a blanket, but never makes his bed. Covers always crumpled.
What does that say? About internal structure, self-discipline? Even for someone who wielded so much power.
It suggests a lack, maybe. That internal order often shows externally. It's a really telling detail.
So bringing it back to you, the listener, how can you apply this? It doesn't have to be making your bed, right?
No, not necessarily. It's about finding a small, consistent task you can nail first thing. Something in your control. Maybe tidying your desk, prepping your coffee maker, laying out workout clothes.
The act of completion is the key.
Exactly. That small win creates a ripple. It's a keystone habit. Makes tackling bigger things easier. It tells your brain, hey, I can do things, little things matter.
Provides an anchor, especially on rough days.
Right. And if you do have a terrible day, you come home and there it is. That one thing you did right. A quiet reminder you accomplished something. And maybe tomorrow will be better. Builds that self-efficacy.
That's a really powerful foundation.
Right.
Okay, so from personal discipline, we move to connection. Chapter 2. You can't go it alone.
Yes. The necessity of teamwork, of support. You just can't navigate life's toughest stuff or achieve big goals by yourself.
And the SEAL anecdote here is so physical, so visceral, that 10-foot rubber raft.
Oh, yeah. Teamwork wasn't a lecture, it was drilled into them, carrying that heavy raft everywhere.
On their heads, running to meals, up and down sand dunes.
Yeah.
Just constant shared burden.
And the paddling. Synchronized, endless paddling along the coast through crashing surf. 7 guys working as one unit.
But the crucial part was picking up the slack, wasn't it?
Absolutely key. If someone was sick, injured, couldn't pull their weight, the others didn't ditch them. They paddled harder, dug deeper, shared rations.
Wow.
That reciprocity, that shared responsibility, it hammered home the truth. Nobody gets through training alone or combat. And by extension, you need people. You need your crew for life's difficult times. It's about that safety net of interdependence.
And this lesson became intensely personal for McRaven later on. That parachute accident. It's harrowing.
25 years after training, now a Navy captain. Routine jump goes horribly wrong.
Hit by another chute at 120-mile-an-hour, spinning, barely conscious.
Pulls his cord instinctively, but the chutes tangle around his legs. Then the main canopy catches air.
And just rips him apart. Pelvis separated 5 inches, muscles torn off the bone, lands miles away, completely broken. It's almost unimaginable.
Yeah, the physical trauma is immense. And he talks about feeling self-pity at first, after always feeling kind of invincible, relying on his physical strength.
But this time was different. He was utterly dependent.
And that's where the support came in. His wife, Georgian, giving that tough love. Caring for him physically, but more importantly, reminding him he wasn't a quitter.
His boss, Admiral Olson, going out on a limb to save his career. Friends helping constantly.
Right. That whole experience just cemented the lesson. His recovery, his achievements, they weren't his alone. They were because of others who believed in him, supported him, took risks for him. Vulnerability met with support creates incredible strength.
So the takeaway for you, the listener, it's that none of us are immune, right? Life will hit hard sometimes.
Exactly. You can't control everything out there, so you need to actively, intentionally build your boat crew. Find your people.
Someone to share the load with. Cultivate those strong friendships.
Understand that needing others isn't weakness. It's fundamental. Your success depends on others. Don't try to paddle alone. Recognizing interdependence is actually a strategic strength. Helps you save energy for when you really need it.
Okay, moving on. This next one is powerful, maybe even a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Chapter 3. Only the size of your heart matters.
Yeah, this is about looking deeper than the surface. True measure isn't physical size or background or status. It's courage, determination, inner spirit.
The SEAL anecdote really hits this home. Morning swim, big waves, instructor harassment, the usual.
Right. And this big, decorated 6'2" instructor picks on a small recruit, only 5'4".
Pulls up the recruit's tiny little flippers, taunts him, saying the waves will break him, tells him to quit. Classic intimidation tactic.
But the recruit just shouts back, I won't quit.
And then that great moment,
Yeah.
the instructor leans in and whispers, prove me wrong.
And he does. The small sailor finishes near the front of the pack, just pure grit.
It shows how SEAL training was this great equalizer.
Totally. Stripped everything else away. Size, skin color, money. Irrelevant. What mattered was determination. Grit. McRaven says it was always more important than talent. Challenges so many assumptions we make.
And McRaven had his own moment of misjudgment about this, which makes it so relatable.
Right. Visiting the SEAL facility before his own training, sees this civilian guy, slightly built, almost frail, looking at photos of SEALs.
And McRaven, the big, confident midshipman, actually pities him. Thinks, does this guy really think he can make it? Assumes he's stronger.
And the punchline, that frail man was Lieutenant Tom Norris, Medal of Honor recipient from Vietnam.
Unbelievable. His story is incredible. Rescuing downed airmen behind enemy lines.
Getting shot in the face, left for dead, rescued by another future Medal of Honor recipient, Mike Thornton, then battles back from that injury to join the FBI's hostage rescue team. Just sheer will.
And the irony, Norris himself was almost kicked out of SEAL training for being too small, too thin.
Exactly. He proved them wrong, just like that recruit in the surf. Drives home how misleading appearances are. You just can't judge by the cover.
So for you listening, the message is profound. Look past superficial judgments of yourself and others.
Don't let perceived limitations, physical or otherwise, define your potential. Your inner resolve, your courage, your heart, that's your real power.
Believe you can prove them wrong, even when people doubt you. Tap into that inner wellspring of grit.
Yeah, that unquantifiable drive.
All right, let's tackle a tough one. Chapter 4. Life's not fair, drive on.
Oof. Yeah, this one's hard to swallow sometimes, especially if you believe effort should always equal reward. But McRaven says accepting life's inherent unfairness is crucial for resilience, for moving forward.
And we're back to the sugar cookie. But this time, focusing on how arbitrary it was.
Totally random. For any minor infraction or no reason at all, into the surf, roll in the sand, uncomfortable, tested your patience, sand everywhere.
And the key point, no logic. Completely at the whim of the instructor.
Right. And many guys couldn't handle that. They'd worked so hard on their uniforms, the perfection. They felt it was unjust. They thought they deserved better.
But they missed the point of the drill.
Exactly. The point wasn't to have a perfect uniform. It was to accept that sometimes things are just unfair. That effort doesn't always guarantee the desired outcome.
And the instructor, Mookie Martin, just cuts through it all.
Lieutenant Philip L. Martin, legendary frogman, calmly tells McRaven, because, Mr. Mac, life isn't fair, and the sooner you learn that, the better off you will be.
Simple, profound. Stop fighting reality, learn to navigate it. Almost stoic.
And Mookie's own life tragically became the ultimate test of this principle.
He was this incredible athlete, right? Top triathlete, peak physical condition.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Then, cycling one morning, head-on collision with another bike, 25 miles per hour, lands face down.
Can't move. Paralyzed from the waist down, limited use of his arms, just devastating. The definition of unfair.
Yet, McRaven says in 35 years he never heard Mookie complain. Never asked, why me? No self-pity.
Instead, he becomes an accomplished painter, fathers a daughter, founds and still oversees the Super Frog Triathlon.
He didn't just drive on, he created a new, meaningful life. It's astounding resilience.
And McRaven connects this to other great figures.
Yeah.
Keller, Mandela, Hawking, Malala.
Right. It's easy to blame external forces, get stuck. But greatness, he argues, is defined by how you deal with unfairness. They all faced immense unfair challenges, but refused to be defined by them.
So for you, the listener, adjust your expectations maybe.
Yeah. Expect that sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you still end up as a sugar cookie. Things won't always go your way despite your best efforts.
Don't get trapped in blaming or feeling sorry for yourself.
Exactly. The command is stand tall, look to the future, and drive on. Your response to unfairness is what defines you. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's choosing where to focus your energy.
Okay, building on that resilience. Chapter 5. Failure can make you stronger. This isn't about avoiding failure, but actually using it.
Right. Using it as fuel to learn, grow, become more resilient, not fearing the consequences.
The anecdote here is the circus. Sounds ominous.
It was. The penalty for failing any physical standard, runs, swims, whatever, your name went on the list.
And the circus was, what? More punishment.
2 extra hours of intense calisthenics, plus Constant harassment from combat vets, designed purely to break your spirit, make you quit.
Feared not just for the pain, but that death spiral effect, right?
Eh.
Exhaustion, more failures, more circuses quitting.
Exactly. And McRaven and his swim buddy, Mark Thomas, the runner, they were on the list a lot for swimming.
Instructors even tailored it. Lots and lots of flutter kicks. That's brutal.
Designed to break them.
Right.
But the funny thing happened.
The paradox.
Yeah. The circus, meant as punishment, actually made them stronger swimmers. Faster, more confident. They were just so determined not to let it beat them.
And the proof. That 5-mile ocean swim, cold, exhausting.
And they were the first pair to finish. Even the instructor had to acknowledge it. Looks like all that extra pain and suffering paid off. They turned adversity into advantage.
Incredible. And McRaven faced a huge failure in his own career, right?
Yeah, in 1983, relieved of his SEAL Squadron command, fired, essentially, for trying to change the culture, reputation badly damaged.
He had a choice then. Quit the Navy. Seems logical after that kind of setback.
Or weather the storm, prove himself. He chose the latter. Got a second chance, deployed overseas.
And use that failure as motivation.
Totally. Outworked everyone, gave his absolute best, regained respect, got selected to command his own SEAL team, eventually commanded all West Coast SEALs.
Wow. And even later, as an admiral in Iraq and Afghanistan, he admitted he still stumbled.
But those past failures had strengthened him, taught him nobody's immune from mistakes, made him a better, maybe more empathetic leader.
So the takeaway for us, you can't avoid the circus in life. We all fail sometimes.
Right. We all make the list. So don't be afraid of the pain or discouragement failure brings.
Let it teach you, strengthen you. See it as training for life's harder moments. Cultivate that anti-fragile mindset. Get better from setbacks.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears to taking chances. Chapter 6. You must dare greatly. Overcoming fear, pushing limits to find your potential.
This involves calculated risk. The anecdote is the slide for life on the obstacle course.
Right, the 30-foot tower, the 100-foot rope. He was going too slow, hand over hand underneath, the possum style.
Safe, but slow. And an instructor basically tells him, you'll never beat this course unless you take some risks. It wasn't just about speed, it was about the approach.
So he pushes past the fear, mounts the top of the rope.
And goes head first, the commando style.
Yep.
Dangerous, looked foolish, high risk of injury or getting kicked out.
But it worked. Slid down super fast, cut his time in half, broke the record, and got that nod from the instructor.
A clear lesson. Overcome anxiety, trust your abilities, even when it's scary. It's about daring to succeed, not just avoiding failure.
And this idea of calculated risk played out big time in his command, that hostage rescue in Iraq.
Yeah, 2004 had to approve a really dangerous daylight raid. Hostages held by Al-Qaeda in a walled compound.
And the key was landing 3 huge Black Hawk helicopters inside that small compound, inches to spare.
An 8-foot wall forced the pilots into this incredibly steep, difficult approach. A hard landing, huge risk, demanded amazing skill and courage.
But the gamble paid off. First 2 helos land perfectly, third clips the wall in the dust, but the pilot forces it down safely. Hostages rescued within minutes.
It highlights the special operations mindset. Risk is essential, but it's calculated, planned. Operators know their limits, but they believe enough in themselves and their plan to try.
Like the essay's motto, who dares wins.
Exactly. Quoted before the bin Laden raid. It's about applying that thoughtful daring to your own life, too.
So, for you listening, life is a struggle. Failure is always possible.
And if you live constantly fearing failure or hardship or embarrassment, you'll never reach your potential. Simple as that.
To really know what you're capable of, you have to push those limits sometimes.
Occasionally, you gotta slide down the rope head first, dare greatly, step into the arena, even if you might fall. That's where growth happens.
Okay, let's talk about dealing with intimidation. Chapter 7. Stand up to the bullies.
This one's direct. Confront bullies, confront intimidation with courage. They feed on fear. Your defiance breaks their power.
The SEAL anecdote is intense.
Yeah.
That night, swim off San Clemente Island, known great white shark territory.
Yeah, instructors joyfully briefing them on all the shark species, adding, no student has ever been eaten, at least not recently. Just terrifying.
But the rule of engagement was key. If a shark circles, stand your ground. Don't swim away, don't act scared.
And if it attacks, punch it in the snout. Summon all your strength.
Wow. And McRaven says their courage came from their goal, right? Wanting to be SEALs so badly gave them the strength to face that fear.
Exactly. Their purpose fueled their courage, which leads to the deeper point about courage itself.
He calls it a remarkable quality. Without it, others define your path. tyrants rule. But with it, you can achieve goals, defy evil. It's fundamental.
And the Saddam Hussein story again, but from a different angle, breaking his intimidation.
After capture, he's still smirking, no remorse. The new Iraqi leaders are still visibly scared of him, even though he's powerless. His psychological hold was still there.
So McRaven isolates him. No visitors, no talking. McRaven visits daily, motions him back to his cot, says nothing.
For a month.
Sending a clear message. You're irrelevant now. You can't intimidate anymore. Power's gone. Palace is gone.
Systematically dismantled his psychological power through non-engagement and demonstrating his irrelevance. And the universal truth McRaven draws.
Bullies are all the same. Schoolyard, workplace, dictator. They thrive on fear. They gain strength from the timid. They probe, test, and only strike if you don't stand your ground. Your courage is their kryptonite.
So for you, listener, identify the sharks or bullies in your life. People, situations, maybe even internal fears that try to limit you.
Find the courage to stand your ground, face them, not necessarily aggressively, but with firm resolve. McRaven says the courage is within all of us. Dig deep. Assert your boundaries, your worth.
Okay, now for those really dark moments, Chapter 8, rise to the occasion. Summoning your best when things seem overwhelmingly bleak.
Yeah, completing the mission no matter how dark it gets. The anecdote is the death rig dive, hardest part of SEAL training.
Swimming 2,000 meters underwater at night to a target ship.
Yeah.
Using that Emerson rig, nicknamed the death rig. That alone is terrifying.
And the conditions? Pitch black water, couldn't see your hand. Heavy fog obscuring bearings, miss the target, end up in a shipping channel. High stakes.
And the core task. Swim under the ship, find the keel. Deepest, darkest part. Deafening machinery noise. Total disorientation.
Nightmare scenario. And the instructor's words before they went in. Tonight, you will have to be your very best. Rise above fear, doubt, fatigue. No matter how dark it gets, complete the mission. This is what separates you. A call to transcend limits.
And that idea, no matter how dark it gets, carries into dealing with profound loss. McRaven talks about the ramp ceremonies in Afghanistan.
Solemn but inspiring. The C-17 on the tarmac, honor guard, amazing grace, hundreds paying respects.
Every fallen warrior treated with immense dignity. America's last salute. A collective honoring of sacrifice.
It wasn't just mourning, it was finding collective strength. Families, units, the nation coming together, being their best in those tragic times.
He gives such moving examples. The twin brother comforting others despite his own grief.
The Ranger unit marching through Savannah, the town saluting. The airmen flying the next day, honoring their fallen brothers by continuing the mission.
The whole nation grieving after that helicopter crash, but also feeling immense pride in their valor.
So, for you listening, you will face dark moments, times that crush your spirit, make you question everything.
In those deepest, darkest moments, remember the lesson. Reach deep inside yourself and be your very best.
Find that inner strength, that resilience. Illuminate your own path when all other lights go out. Put one foot in front of the other. That's what separates survival from succumbing.
Which leads perfectly into Chapter 9. Give people hope. How a single act of optimism can change everything for a group.
Yeah, the power of one person igniting hope, inspiring resilience, even in the worst circumstances.
The anecdote. Singing in the mud during Hell Week. Wednesday. Tijuana mudflats. Freezing, thick mud, chest deep, no sleep for days. Morale hitting rock bottom.
Pure misery, guys shaking, swollen hands and feet, hope just draining away.
And the instructor offers temptation. Hot coffee, soup, warmth, if just 5 guys quit. Knowing one quitter often leads to more.
Cynical but effective tactic. And one guy starts to break, lunges for dry ground.
But then, a single voice. Tired, raspy, but loud enough, starts singing some crude song.
And that spark catches. One voice becomes 2, then 3. Soon everyone's singing. Defiance. Solidarity.
The guy gonna quit, turns back, rejoins them, sings too.
Instructor yells at them to stop, threatens them. They just sing louder. The class gets stronger. Unbreakable will emerges. The mud feels warmer. Dawn seems closer.
Incredible. The power of one person to unite, inspire, give hope. If he can sing, we can endure. It activates that collective spirit.
McRaven connects this to the universal power of hope. He calls it the most powerful force in the universe. Inspires nations, lifts the downtrodden, eases loss.
And he shares that incredibly moving story from Dover Air Force Base. After the helicopter crash, 38 men killed, the room filled with grieving families.
Leaders struggling for words, the President, Secretary of Defense. McRaven felt his own words were inadequate.
But Lieutenant General John Kelly, he made a difference.
Because he knew. He'd lost his own son, Marine First Lieutenant Robert Kelly, in Afghanistan. His words weren't just sympathy, they were understanding, compassion, hope.
Authentic connection. He smiled, hugged people, gave genuine strength, allowed them to smile back, connect, find a moment's peace.
Kelly's strength, even in his own immense grief, gave McRaven hope too. Hope that you can rise above agony and be strong, not just for yourself, but to inspire others, transmuting suffering into strength.
So for you, the listener, you'll find yourself neck deep in mud someday. Metaphorically, hopefully.
Yeah. In those moments of despair, grief, challenge, channel that power of hope. Consciously choose to sing loudly, smile broadly, lift up those around you.
Be that one person who makes a difference. Offer that spark. Your optimism can literally pull others through with you.
Absolutely.
And finally, the capstone, the bedrock. Chapter 10, never ever quit.
This is it, the ultimate principle. True strength is unwavering perseverance. Giving up brings temporary relief, but often lifelong regret. Limits your potential.
The symbol is that brass bell in the SEAL compound, center stage, for everyone to see.
And the instructors lay it out clearly. Ring it 3 times, it's over. No more cold, no more pain, no more hardship. Easy way out. Instant relief.
But the warning, delivered sincerely, if you quit, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Quitting never makes anything easier in the long run.
And the stats proved it. 150 started. Only 33 graduated. Most rang the bell.
McRaven emphasizes life constantly presents situations where quitting seems logical, easier. The odds seem stacked against you.
Your rational mind will tell you to stop, but resisting that urge is the real test. And he found inspiration in those who refused.
Like young Army Ranger Adam Bates. Met him in a combat hospital in Afghanistan. Only 19. Just arrived. First mission. Stepped on a mine.
Devastating injuries, tubes everywhere, burns, legs amputated, life instantly brutally changed.
And the nurse says he's conscious, consigned because his mother is deaf. McRaven struggles for words.
And Bates, face swollen, eyes barely visible, raises his hand, slowly, painfully signs, "I will be okay."
Just chills. That spirit. McRaven says he never met a wounded soldier who complained. They were proud, accepting, wanting to get back to their units. Bates embodied that.
And the follow-up. A year later, Bates is at a change of command ceremony, sharp in his uniform, standing tall on prosthetic legs.
Laughing, joking, smiling, just like he promised. He was okay. Made it okay through sheer will. Post-traumatic growth personified.
Incredible. So, for you listening, life is hard. Yes. And someone, somewhere, always has it worse. Not to diminish your struggles, but for perspective.
Avoid self-pity. Avoid blaming.
Instead, make that conscious choice. Refuse to give up on your dreams. Stand tall and strong against the odds. Recognize life is what you make it. You can make it great.
The ultimate directive, etched into SEAL training. Never, ever ring the bell. Persist. Your future is shaped by that resolve.
And that wraps up the 10 lessons. Powerful stuff.
Absolutely. 10 principles from SEAL training, but really, they're for all of us right now.
Think about them again. Start with the task completed. Find your boat crew. Respect everyone. Judge by heart. Know life isn't fair. Know you'll fail. But take risks. Step up when it's tough. Face bullies, lift others, and never, ever give up.
Admiral McRaven's speech echoed that UT slogan. What starts here changes the world. He talked about that ripple effect, didn't he?
Yeah, changing 10 lives, who changed 10 more. Reaching billions over generations.
He gave those combat examples. The officer saving a squad, the NCO saving a platoon from an IED.
Saving not just soldiers, but their children yet unborn and their children's children. Generations impacted by one person embodying these lessons.
And the beauty is, these lessons are universal. Gender, background, orientation, status. Doesn't matter.
Our struggles in this world are similar, he says, and the lessons to overcome those struggles will apply equally to all.
So the challenge is to you, the listener. If you really take these principles to heart, integrate them daily.
Then maybe the next generation and the ones after will live in a better world, more resilient, more hopeful.
And what started here with these simple ideas really could change the world for the better. I hope this deep dive leaves you feeling enlightened, definitely motivated, and empowered to make that difference starting right now.